Right, going to attempt some rush repairs. I've already got half of the job done. As you can see, what is left of my battery tray, pretty rusted out, and normally it would go about there. I've just used the cold chisel to pretty much smash it out. Could have maybe drilled out the little spot welds, but all good. As you can see here, you can see the rust going straight through the guard. I've drawn a basic line of where I want to cut out. I'm hoping to do pretty minimal cut, and I'm just going to use a wire brush disc to try and clean it up the rest of the way. As for replacement, well, you can see here, I bought a $20 battery tray, pretty heavy duty, pretty steel, it doesn't bend much, from a local auto parts store. It's going to be cut down a little bit shorter to fit in, but I'm hoping to have it possible to wash it underneath it, rather than the solid setup it did where a lot of mud got caught up in it and hence rusted out. First attempt at cutting the rust, I used a Zedo, but it's basically a rip-off of a Dremel. It didn't do much. The disc disappeared quicker than what I think it was cutting. So next step is 4-inch grinder and using the 1mm discs. They do a smaller cut, they do wear out a little bit quicker, but I reckon they're a bit finer and a bit more precise. So you can see I've cut out the rusted spots. You see there's still a little bit of rust to deal with around there, nothing the wire brush can't deal with, and a little bit of cleaning up where the spot welds were. But otherwise, that's the majority of it all out. So, the next job. Basically, we've cut this piece out. As you can see straight through it, not good. Basically, you're just going to get a bit of sheet metal, make it the same shape, try and get that curve into it as close as we can, and then prep it ready to weld back into. What to replace it with? Well, this is what I've got lying around. I'm going to give this a go. I don't know if it's the best option. It is a little bit thinner actually, unfortunately, but I think it should be alright with a bit of preparation once welded in. It's only a guard, it's not going to be majorly structural. I haven't cut structural out of it, so I think this should be okay. As a bit of a fail-safe, this is something I use just to go over it once you've cleaned up a little bit. It's just a Sepatone rust converter. As you can see, I've kind of done it around here a little bit. It's done a little bit different, and then there's a bit of rust on these, so I hit them with the wire brush on the drill, and then just giving them a coat. Basically, just pour a little container with like a little paintbrush, just brush it on. Then once it's finished, you give it a bit of a wipe or a hit with the wire brush, and you're sorted. As you can also see, I've grinded the edges down, just so it's better hold on the for the welder and that. Here I've made a little bit of metal. It's got this little bends in it at one end to suit. We'll grind it down, and you can see it kind of fits in a little bit like that. Not a perfect fix, but once it's tacked in, you can do a little bit more of a like a hammer and that, and do a panel beating kit and just bring it into shape a bit more. Well, there we go. It's not pretty. Welding thin stuff definitely isn't my strength, but it's in there. So a bit of a clean-up job to do. As you can see underneath as well, a bit of a clean-up job. Fair few holes that had to be cleaned up, but it's done. Alright, so we've skipped a few steps, just with rushing it and that, trying to get it done and get the car back on the roads. But I'll show you what it looks like now. Especially we'll try and get the best shot. The engine's back in, so it's a little bit hard to see. So as you can see, there it is, all bolted in. This was a $12 battery holder. I'm a little bit skeptical about that bit, but we'll see how that goes. You can see if I come underneath the wheel arch, you can see how I've painted it all up and all that. I'll run you through the products in a sec. And I did do a little support underneath. Unfortunately, with the engine in the way, you can't really see it. But I'll see if I can get you down there to have a bit of a look. I don't know if you can see much down there. But basically it was just a little bit of flat bar bent up that goes from the battery tray and then down to the guard. When I welded it onto the guard, I've done a quick little drill hole in the flat bar, and you can sort of see it's kind of in there, it's welded through. Just gives extra hold basically, rather than just welding the outside. So these are the two products I've used. It's my first time using them, time will tell. So we got this. This is just like a primer, but also attacks the rust. Unfortunately, it's not going to zoom in too well for you. But yeah, it looks like it should do the job. It's meant to help attack the rust and convert the rust, as well as gives it a matte black finish. I figured that was a better option as the primer than just putting a standard primer on it, just extra protection. And then I've used this bed armour. I used this because I wanted to be underneath the bonnet with it as well, but I thought it was worthwhile giving it a go, as it will help seep into a few of the gaps and holes and just help seal up spots where this moisture and water could get, and then it create more rust. So far, I'm pretty impressed with it. It's not much good for long distance, for big coverage, but for the short distance bits, it seems pretty good. So time will tell, and fingers crossed that's kept all the rust out and at bay, and we can get away with it. There's a few other bits of rust I've found in the car looking over now that I'm going to have to attack as well, which is a bit of a bummer. There you can see another little bit of rust I've found. I'm a little bit concerned. It actually feels pretty flaky underneath there, and I'm hoping it hasn't gone too far in. So roof rack's going to come off, and I'll have to have a go at attacking that bit as well. Otherwise, yeah, it's on the passenger side. The driver side doesn't seem too bad, thankfully. These were two of the wire brush bits I used. Rather than just using a standard wire brush, you whack these on your drill and get a bit better coverage. You really get into the tight spots and get a bit more attack on it. They actually seem to do pretty well. You do notice after using them for a while that they start to not be as effective. Brand new, they're awesome. This one here is, I don't know how many years old now, and it's really doesn't do too much at all anymore. This one here was fairly new, but by the end of it I could see it was starting to struggle a little bit more. So that's my attempt on a rust repair. Take it as you want. Always gonna get more advice, but yeah, it's fixed. There's no more rust. The rust is cut out, so let's hope that fixes the problem and it'll hold the rust away at least for a few more years.